Hello everyone, I'm Jewel and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to talk about one of my favorite game franchises, one that has played a heavy role in shaping who I am. I am a Slayer, both by blood and by choice. Without Doom Eternal under my belt, I would not have had the courage to pick up Marvel Rivals or many other games. And if you've read any of my extensive Doom fanfiction, you know that I'm one of the few players who loves Doom for the characters. I don't love Doom for its story. It's fine, or in the case of Tag 2, a little less than fine, but I just don't think that the game particularly shines in this aspect. If you've tried to follow the story of the games but got lost or confused in the codexes, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I'm not here today to grill Tag 2 for its disappointments and inconsistencies. I'm here to talk about id Software's latest Doom game, Doom: The Dark Ages. Doom games typically have very few characters, usually there are 4. The player character, Slayer, a side supporting character like Dr. Hayden, a voice in your headset telling you where to go and what to do like Vega, and the bad guy like the Con Maykr. Because there are so few characters, id Software really has the time and space to get deep into the few characters they have. And they do, it's why I love the games enough to write fanfiction about them. But one thing I noticed is that these games have very few female characters. Which is understandable, it's to be expected for games with so few characters. It's not a bad thing as long as they're well written. But I noticed that every single lady was either a victim or a villain, and sometimes both. I'll briefly cover the 2.5 ladies we had in the series before Doom: The Dark Ages. In Doom 2016, we had 4 characters: Slayer, Vega, Dr. Hayden, and Dr. Olivia Pierce, the big bad guy. Her story goes that in college, she was a student of Dr. Hayden and considered by most to be his protege. When she graduated, Dr. Hayden asked her to join him on Mars at the UAC research lab to help him research Argent energy. She said no. As she was conducting her own research, something strange happened. Hayden sent her a hell relic that he had brought back from hell, the Helix Stone. Afterwards, Dr. Pierce dropped everything, severed contact with friends and family, and moved to Mars, heading her own division, the Lazarus Division. There, she and her team researched demons, specifically how to turn humans into demons. And from there, her spiral only worsened. She began a cult and was actually in communication with the Dark Lord, aka the Devil, aka Devoth, through the Hell Relic Sam gave to her. Devoth seemed to be the true mastermind behind everything, manipulating Olivia, telling her what to do, and punishing her when she couldn't keep up with his demands.
You should not have allowed his location to be discovered. You have failed us.
It was not me. It was Samuel. He led them to his tomb. Please, we can overcome this. I promise. The gate will be opened as planned. They promised me so much.
So this makes Olivia both the antagonist and a victim. She was overtly manipulated and used by Devoth, but Sam also used and took advantage of her. Even if he didn't know that the Helix Stone would put her in communication with Devoth, which the game hints that he did know, he just thought she was strong enough to withstand his influence, he still watched her spiral and did nothing about it.
Olivia activated the hell wave from somewhere inside this facility. I did hope she could rise above their influence. I was wrong. She proved to be weaker than I thought she'd be.
We are not advancing enough applicants, and our faith is nothing without believers. We cannot conduct our work without them.
And what kind of work is it that you're doing, Olivia? I haven't seen a report from your team in months now, have I? Can I trust that you can maintain your distance and control of the situation?
Of course. I believe in our work, but in order to make progress, we will have to make even greater sacrifices.
This isn't progress, it's madness. The board understands the peculiar nature of your work, and no one is in the dark on what those sacrifices mean to mankind. But your judgment is no longer considered sound.
She's an interesting and tragic character. By the time we, Slayer, arrive on the scene, the worst has come to pass, and all we can do is kill her to prevent more lives from being lost. But she's not the villain. None of her actions were her own. She didn't even want to be here. Sam sent her the Helix Stone to somehow convince her to go with him. Devoth was manipulating her, lying to her, making empty promises to her to get her to do his bidding. Rather than having an impact on the story just impacted her, eventually leading to her death. So that's our first supporting lady. Our next lady comes in Doom Eternal, the next game in this series. The story for this game is that Earth is being consumed by demons. Slayer is here to stop the invasion, with our lady, the Con Maykr, attempting to thwart him at every step. The invasion is her doing. She's the leader of the Maykrs, an alien race that uses Argent energy to make them immortal. A fine plan, except for the fact that Argent is made from the human souls damned to hell. So, the Con has organized this invasion to produce as much Argent as she can. We think. And the story ends with Slayer killing her and completely halting the production of Argent energy. The Con's motivation and reason for organizing the demon invasion comes mostly from context and codexes about her and her dimension's past. The frustrating thing about this is that many of the codexes contradict each other. For example, any entries from the first DLC are untrue and cannot be trusted, because it is a fact in the canon that the Maykrs wrote those codexes to rewrite history and to sell a lie to the world, which is very on brand of them, I grant you, but unendingly frustrating for those of us who follow the lore. Because of all that, I can't name for sure the Con's motivation. I have to dip into theorizing, which even that I think is an indicator that she might not be the best written or most compelling character out there. She has a very cool visual design, and her whole ugly form beneath pretty exterior might be a hint to her motivation, or it might just be a visual metaphor, I don't know. After all, the Creed Maker also follows this trend. In any case, however vague her motivations are, at least she has impact on the story. She chose to send the demons to Earth. It was her, entirely her. No manipulation, no coercion, nothing. We don't know why she sent the demons to Earth, but send them she did. There are no other women in Doom Eternal or in its DLCs. Dr. Elena Richardson is a set piece. She has no presence, no impact, and no physical model. I half count her as a side character. Now, finally, we come to Doom: The Dark Ages. With this big, shiny new game came unending upgrades from the previous two. We got better graphics, new gameplay mechanics, new demons, many beautiful quality of life changes, a new, very handsome look for Slayer's face, and a dragon. We also got an upgrade on the number of characters in the story. No more of the only 4 characters get actual characterization and only 3 of them get speaking lines, because Slayer doesn't speak. Now we have Slayer, King Novik, Commander Valen, his son, our precious baby, whoever this guy is, these 2 random Maykr drones, Prince Azric, this Hell Priest, the Witch, the Old One, the Wraith, and Her Royal Highness Commander Thera, the subject of today's video. Commander Thera is groundbreaking in the realm of Doom. She is our first supporting female character. She's not a victim, and she's not a villain. She also survives the events of the game. No lady in this series has ever done that before. Is she perfect? No, but we'll get to that later. This is our first scene with Commander Thera, which happens to be part of the opening cutscene of the game.
The demons couldn't get past the barrier, so their followers are letting them in. Thera, The transports. How much time?
Get me the new bishop. Valen's armored division is still an hour away.
We could try and launch the Atlant.
There's no time. Bishop Creed. We need him.
Commander. Thira, this temple must remain guarded.
The village of Colleen is a mining settlement. If it falls, everything will be destroyed, including your Sentinel energy reserves.
Okay, pause for a sec. We've seen this woman for all of 30 seconds, and I already have so much to say about her. Firstly, her visual design is phenomenal. She is a real girl. Her body proportions are realistic, and her outfit makes sense for a commander of the Sentinel army. Like, you look at her and you know she is a warrior. She gets to wear actual armor, she has scarring on her face, arm, and hand, and she gets to wear her hair up. id Software has sacrificed no part of her design to make her appealing to the male gaze. Through and through, her design has the singular purpose of characterization, and from her design we can learn a few things about our supporting lead lady. So, as I've just explained, Thera is a warrior. She's wearing Sentinel armor. Makes sense, she is a part of a warrior culture after all, but before the Dark Ages, we hadn't known if women in Sentinel society were allowed to participate and become warriors themselves. Now we know that Thera, at least, is. She's also high-ranking. Her armor is unique from the others around her, using warmer tones of gold, red, and brown, rather than silver, blue, and gray. Her armor looks more like what Commander Valen wears, which makes complete sense, as Valen is a commander like her. She's giving orders and is called Commander Thera, even in the subtitles. Clearly she has authority here. So, something about me is that I always pay attention to a character's first line. You can almost always learn a lot about a character by looking at their first line. And Thera's is, "Get me the new bishop."
Get me the new bishop. Valen's armored division is still an hour away.
Ignoring the possible lore implications that the Creed is new here, which makes a lot of sense considering his incompetence, this actually is communicating something about Thera. To me, it indicates authority. Before she answers the king's question, she makes a command herself. id Software intentionally made it so that Thera's first speaking line is her giving a command, rather than answering one. They didn't have to do that, they could have reversed the order of the lines, but this first line here puts her in authority, and that position continues throughout the scene. Everyone in the room, including the men, even including Bishop Creed, a Maykr, answers to Thera. Thera has to kind of work Bishop Creed. She has to convince him to release Slayer, which she does, almost effortlessly. Also, look at her face. This woman knows she's got him. This ain't her first rodeo. Thera is the only Sentinel other than Slayer to actually be in communication with the Maykrs, even in this scene.
There's an urgent call from the Creed Maker.
Lord Novik, a large horde is heading toward your position. We are launching the Slayer now. Please send forces immediately to ensure our safety.
Thank you, Bishop Creed.
Bishop Creed contacts King Novik, but Thera is the one who verbally responds, which I don't want to deify the Maykrs, they don't deserve it, but this also puts Thera in a position of authority. At this point in time, Argentinor worships the Maykrs, and Thera is the only one who talks to them, which almost puts her on a level with them. This moment here also relates to the fact that Thera is incredibly open-minded and treats everyone with respect no matter where they come from. King Novik is very clear that he only respects Sentinel people. He doesn't respect Slayer, and he doesn't respect the Maykrs, but Thera respects and will speak to everyone. We'll see more of this when we examine her friendship with Slayer. So, that was an in-depth analysis of Thira's first scene. We won't be going that deep on every scene, I just find introduction scenes to be incredibly important. Moving on from this scene, let's get a broad overview of Thira's story, and then we can begin to analyze it. Slayer begins the game under the control of the Maykrs with this mind control thingy. They have a system with the Sentinels that if Slayer is needed on the battlefield, they can send in a request and the Creed Maker will decide whether or not to release Slayer. King Novik seems uneasy but okay with this arrangement, but Thera is openly unhappy about the Makers having Slayer on a leash. We are quickly whisked off to the next battle at Habeth, protecting this power source thingy that powers the barrier, the thing that prevents demons from being able to teleport to their planet. Things don't go well here, so the power source thingy's gonna blow up and they need to evacuate the city. Slayer, however, gets an idea. He takes the thingy and is gonna take it away from the city. Thera is the first to recognize what he's trying to do, and she not only helps him, but meets him there to get him out safely when the thing inevitably explodes.
The transdimensional barrier is offline. Demonic activity is surging.
Anyway, the barrier has fallen and things aren't looking good, so the team regroups back at HQ on Argent and Ur. It's here that we first learn about the Heart of Argent, our Ark of the Covenant, Maltese Falcon, Infinity Stone kind of vibe thing. Apparently it's a powerful relic of Sentinel history and is fabled to hold the soul of the last Wraith. So a Wraith is an ancient entity that the Sentinels used to worship before they worshipped the Maykrs, because at this point in time they worship the Maykrs, the Khan specifically, and I think Wraiths also play some role in the production of Argent energy. I don't understand the specifics of how, but it's not really important right now. They come from a realm beyond any we've ever seen and crash into Argent and Ur in this giant crystal thingy with thousands of Wraiths either dead or in stasis inside it. Keeping up? Wonderful. No, but seriously, the only thing you need to remember from that is that Wraiths are an ancient race of beings from another universe that the Sentinels used to worship. You got that, you're good. So Prince Azric, for whatever reason, is after the Heart of Argent. His girl buddy, whom they affectionately call the Witch, is helping him to get it. We go to the flying city where the heart is kept and we nab it before the prince can, and all it costs is the destruction of the entire city. Success! We all go home and then the siege begins. Azric now knows where the Heart of Argent is, and with the barrier down, he can send his full force to get it. The Creed sees this as an absolutely unwinnable battle and will not send Slayer to help. Slayer, though, has other plans. Seemingly able to hear the suffering about to occur, he's able to break through the mind control through sheer strength and determination. The Creed, terrified Slayer will detonate the device on his armor and bring down the whole ship, decides to let him out. When he lands, Thera is visibly relieved to see Slayer. In my mind, she must see he's free from the mind control. She seems just relieved, and her reaction makes sense, especially after that cathartic cutscene of Slayer breaking out. Also, this moment here, when everyone moves away from Slayer but Thera moves towards him, yeah, that's symbolic. It's gotta be. Anyway, Azric gets the Heart of Argent and it's empty. Wait, was there supposed to be something inside it? Azric sure seems upset. What was he expecting? Whatever. Slayer shows up and delivers his only speaking line in the game, which has such strong aura that it sends Azric and the Witch running.
Run.
We also hear in this level that Thera is in fact Novik's daughter.
Thera, they're coming for the heart. I'll draw them away from the lifeboats.
Father, don't go alone. Commander, he signed off.
As King Novik is on the mend from his scuffle with the prince, we get a lovely cutscene where Thera chats with Slayer. We learn that she is going against the Maker's orders with regards to Slayer by letting him be.
Thera, if the tether is removed, the Makers, their directive was clear. What would you have us do?
Nothing.
Here, Thera gives Slayer the rundown of what's going on, what Azric is after. She tells him what the Heart of Argent is and that it's missing a power source, and they don't know where it is. After their little chat, Slayer and Thera go to the Ancestral Forge for some reason, and there Thera enchants Slayer's shield. It turns out she's magical. Very cool. The Creed sees this from the bug he has on Slayer, and he sends the video to Prince Azric. The witch sees Thera and says that she is the Heart of Argent. I guess we found where that power source she was talking about is. One interesting thing to think about: does Slayer know that Thera is the Heart of Argent at this point? I don't know. Slayer is definitely experiencing an emotion here. Is it the realization that she's the heart? Or is he just weirded out by the magic? I don't know. I think Slayer is very perceptive and much more intelligent than people give him credit for, but it's often difficult to tell what's going on in his mind. Okay, moving on with the story. Now that Azric knows where the power source is, he goes straight for it and kidnaps Thera. Commander Thera herself just kinda disappears from the game for the next 4 levels, so let's skip ahead. After a long and arduous process, we've made it to Thera to rescue her. As Slayer reaches out to free her, something rises up out of her. Remember when I said that the Heart of Argent was fabled to hold the soul of the last Wraith? The Wraith kinda stings Slayer, and it completely overwhelms him. He is KO'd. He's unable to do anything as Azric obtains the full Heart of Argent. Azric imprisons Slayer and tells the Sentinels that he killed him. Which is lucky, because in his attempt to break out, Slayer actually does die. His heartbeat slowing and going silent will haunt me for a while, I think. The Sentinels perform a ritual to resurrect Slayer, and it works, but can you imagine how awkward it would have been if they did this ritual and Slayer's not actually dead? Anyway, Slayer fights Azric, and for a while it looks like he might actually outmatch Slayer, but then he commits one fatal error that ends up costing him the heart, his power, and ultimately his life. He kills Surratt. After that, the fight's over, or as good as. Azric stood no chance. Slayer leaves it to Novik to restore Thera, and once she has seemingly somewhat of a control over the Wraith soul, and is stronger for it. With Azric weak and in retreat, they decide to chase after him, and it gives Thera the chance to show off her new powers. Slayer exacts revenge for Surratt, and they all go home. Slayer goes back to Hell to kill demons in his cool new ship, and everyone lives happily ever after. Until Novik dies, Slayer takes the kingship, not Thera, so who knows what happens to her. The Sentinel priests betray the Night Sentinels and send them to Hell, and Slayer's put in the Forever Box to exist in silent suffering until 2016. Yay! But I'm not here to talk about the gap between the Dark Ages and what we know eventually happens. I'm here to talk about Thera. So, what about Thera? She is so refreshingly new in the Doom franchise. She's a woman, a warrior, a commander, and a princess, and a supporting character. She's Slayer's friend, she's on his side and is helping him. We've not had a woman play this position in a Doom game until the Dark Ages. Also, she's the only woman who lives, who survives the events of her game. Every other female character in this series doesn't just die, Slayer kills each and every one of them. Well, all 3 of them. It's not a great look, honestly. So having Thera survive is long overdue. Something interesting is that though Thera is the daughter of the king, she chooses to go by Commander Thera rather than Princess Thera. No one addresses her as Your Highness, they address her as Commander. There could be a plethora of reasons for this. Maybe her society is like our society and doesn't respect women, so rather than going by a title for women, Princess, she goes by an ungendered title, Commander. It could be that id Software wanted players to take Thera seriously, so they gave her an ungendered, military-focused title rather than a gendered royal title, because they know they have a player base that will take a Commander Thera more seriously than a Princess Thera. But I want to think about this as if it is Thera's choice, as if she chose to go by Commander over Princess. Firstly, Novik is a king, not a general. They call him Your Majesty and King Novik, not General or General Novik, even though it is his job to lead the army. So I think Thera going by Commander must be her choice, rather than just how their society is structured, and thus is a reflection of her character and her values. It makes total sense to me that Thera would rather be known and named for her military prowess and rank, rather than by a title she got at birth. She wants to be known by her rank and achievement, by her actions rather than by her blood, and rather than by her gender. This shows that she values action and achievement over birth status, which explains why she has such a different view of Slayer than everyone else. Thera is, I think, the first character we have who is actually friends with Slayer. Like, they have an actual relationship. Everyone else in Slayer's life doesn't trust him, or sees him as a weapon, an object, something without his own thoughts and feelings and desires. Caveat: Slayer and Commander Valen have a kind of relationship, but it's more professional than friendly. I think Valen respects Slayer as his king, rather than loving him as a friend. However, Valen trusts Slayer more than most everyone on Argent and Nur. In this scene, when Slayer has been resurrected, all of the monks back away in either fear or surprise or something. Slayer doesn't look violent, just confused. Valen is the only one fearless enough to approach Slayer, to offer him a hand as he's clearly confused and doesn't know where he is or what happened. Later in Eternal, after Valen has betrayed the Night Sentinels to save his son, long story, and this video is supposed to be about Thera, he trusts Slayer enough that he knows Slayer isn't here to hurt him or exact revenge, something Slayer is kind of known for. In fact, he trusts Slayer enough to ask him for help in freeing his son's soul. All of that said, I think Slayer and Valen are closer than we realized back in Eternal. However, his relationship with Slayer is more professional and much less emotional than Slayer and Thera's relationship, which even they are not that emotional or expressive. The common thread between Valen and Thera, though, is that they both trust Slayer like no one else does that we see, even King Novik. Part of why the Sentinels, King Novik in particular, doesn't trust or like Slayer is because he's an outsider. In the codexes in Doom Eternal, we read about how Slayer was taken captive by the Sentinels, and even after he won his freedom in the Gladiator arena, was only given the rank of a lowly foot soldier, cannon fodder to brawl on the front lines. Obviously, after they noticed his strength and how much of a one-man army he was, they started treating him differently and building their strategy around him. But for all his achievements, Slayer is not a Sentinel. He's human, he's from Earth, and some Sentinels could never get over that. In fact, some resented him and his rise in ranks because he's not Sentinel, and should never have been able to do that according to their tradition. But Thera, who values action and achievement over birth status, doesn't see Slayer this way. He rose to his rank through his strength and skill, just like her. She respects him, and more than that, she trusts him. When Azric is attacking Argent and Nur for the heart, Thera asks Novik to let Slayer guard the heart.
I thought you left for the command station. Everyone is evacuating.
So you are holding on to it?
Until we get to the location. A new vault is being built.
Then let the Slayer guard it.
If what they say is true, then this is a part of our heritage, not the Maker's. Valen, are you seeing anything?
It's interesting to me that Novik associates Slayer with the Maykrs rather than with the Sentinels. To be fair, he is under the control of the Maykrs at this point, and maybe that's all that Novik means. He won't risk the heart falling into the hands of the Maykrs. However, even knowing that Slayer is under the control of the Maykrs, Thera asks Novik to let Slayer guard the heart. She trusts him that much. Wait, now I'm thinking about the metaphorical implications of this. If Thera is the heart of Argent, what does it mean when she asks her dad to let Slayer guard the heart, her? And what does it mean that Slayer gave the heart, her, back to Novik? I don't know, but we don't have time to unpack all that right now. Maybe later. So, back to the mind control over Slayer. Thira is the only one who's actually angry about the Maykrs putting the tether on Slayer. Novik says he wants the tether on Slayer because he wants assurances, meaning he doesn't trust Slayer. I don't know if that means Novik doesn't trust Slayer's intentions, his heart, or that he doesn't trust his grip on sanity to hold. Maybe he's afraid of both. In either case, the fact that Novik goes along with it and doesn't resist shows that at this point in the story he thinks of Slayer as less than a person. He thinks that Slayer doesn't have the right to autonomy. But this does change, and later in the story, Novik trusts Slayer enough to leave him entirely on his own, and he has a much higher view of him. By the end of the game, he trusts Slayer enough to give him his freedom. And this moment here, when he gives Slayer his own Atlan, I think is foreshadowing of the exchange in leadership that is to come. Slayer does eventually take the kingship. Here, Novik drops his pride and entrusts the greater weapon to Slayer, which shows how much more trust and respect he has for him. This moment of Novik graciously handing the king's weapon to Slayer is symbolic of the respect between the two kings and their exchanging kingship, meaning there's no ill will between them. Because we know Slayer has great respect for Novik. When he sees his ghost in Eternal, the first thing he does is kneel in respect. Thera, unlike Novik and others, saw Slayer as a real human person with dignity from the beginning. In fact, Thera has more than respect for Slayer. She has care for him. She sees him as Sentinel, as one of their own, and she cares about him and his well-being. She sees his ideas as valid and valuable. When the thingy powering the barrier is gonna explode, Slayer wordlessly takes it to get it as far away from the city as he can, and Novik tells him to stop. It's only Thera who recognizes Slayer's plan, and she helps him carry it out and is there to pick him up and get him to safety. She's got his back. When someone reminds her that the Maykrs apparently gave specific orders regarding Slayer if the tether was ever broken, they ask her what to do, and she says to do nothing. She disobeys orders and puts herself at risk to protect Slayer. We don't know what the instructions were, but they probably were steps to put the tether back on him, or imprison him, or maybe even kill him. But Thera, of course, would do no such thing, even if her father would. She wants Slayer free and well. Thera doesn't just see Slayer as a human being, she sees him as a fellow Sentinel. King Novik is very secretive with Sentinel artifacts and history. He won't let Slayer guard the heart, and he straight up says,
And you agreed?
He's not one
Of us. They want assurances, and so did I.
Thera, on the other hand, takes Slayer to the Ancestral Forge, an ancient Sentinel site that had apparently been shut down for a long time because of the demons. She equips him with ancient Sentinel magic, something I doubt her father would have been cool with. She's sharing details with him, how the spell is cast, where it comes from. She lets him watch as she casts the spell, something very personal and vulnerable, as she's literally unconscious in a trance. And this is literally a vulnerable moment because it is this moment and the Creed spying that puts Thera in danger in the first place. Heck, she even invites Slayer to participate in the Forge spellcasting. She asks Slayer to restart the heart of the Forge. Do you see where I'm going with this? Novik says that Slayer isn't one of them, and Thera's response is, not with that attitude, he isn't. She invites Slayer into her history, includes him in the process of enchanting the shield, equips him with ancient Sentinel runes, and with a piece of her own power as the host for the Wraith. She's treating him as and making him one of them. Thera also cares about Slayer's mental health. Slayer loves his dragon, Surratt. It's one of the few things that can ground him, and the game is clear that Surratt acts like a tether to sanity for Slayer. His relationship with Surratt is really healing for him, and Thera notices this. When Surratt is mortally wounded in battle, Slayer risks his life to go back for him and bring him to safety. Thera notices this, and orders that Surratt be healed and given prosthetics so Slayer can continue to ride him into battle. She knows how much Surratt means to Slayer and does everything she can to restore him to him. Whether or not she knows how much Surratt means for Slayer's mental health, it is still a deeply kind gesture. Another way the game shows Thira's and Slayer's friendship is that Thira actually talks to Slayer. She doesn't talk at him, just telling him what to do, or talk about him like he's just a weapon without thoughts or feelings. She talks to him, even though she knows she won't get a verbal response. She thanks him for his help.
We're beginning to evacuate civilians now. Thank you, Slayer.
This is unprecedented. Take note, Sam, it's called manners. When taking Slayer to the Forge, Thera talks to him, sharing the history of the Forge and of her people, just talking to him. I doubt he cares about anything she's talking about, but this is part of her bringing him into her heritage, of counting him as a fellow Sentinel. And this scene. I love this scene. The vibes are just, yes, so chill, so casual. I want Slice of Life Slayer so badly. You have no idea the fanfiction I've written.
That demon, he's after something. You saw that. We call it the Heart of Argent. Anyone who wields it, they'd have the power of a god. Stronger than maybe even you. But the heart is incomplete. It's made up of 2 parts. The other half is a power source, and we don't know where it is.
Valen's search party is still active.
If he ever gets control of it, that much power in Hell's hands, none of us would survive. Unlock the Ancestral Forge.
But in this scene, when she's filling him in on the Heart of Argent, she's just talking to him. Even though he's seemingly ignoring her, she trusts that he's listening, and he is listening. She notices his tiny little nod and takes it as a meaningful response. This scene shows, at least in my opinion, that she knows Slayer. She knows how he operates, and she meets him where he is and doesn't expect him to change. They've done this before. I think Slayer cares about Thera in return. I could write a whole other essay about Slayer's character and how I think he distances himself from people out of fear. He doesn't want them to get hurt or be taken from him. There are a couple of little things that I think show that Slayer at least has respect for Thera, and maybe more respect for her than other people in his life. The tiny nod to show her that yes, he was listening, for example. His hesitation when reaching out to pull her down. Yeah, there were probably a lot of reasons for his hesitation, but I think all of those reasons revolve around the fact that he doesn't want her to get hurt. And oh my gosh, he takes her arm so gently. I had to physically clutch my heart when I saw that. He cares about her so much. And of course, this scene. Now, I know this brutal kill is mostly revenge for his baby, but Thera is highly associated with that dragon. She gave Surratt a second life, and both Thera and Surratt tether Slayer to sanity. They're his only friends. So I wonder what was going through Slayer's head during this moment. Was it just pure grief for Surratt? Anger wanting to destroy the thing that killed his best friend? How much of it was anger over what Azric had nearly done to Thera? We can't know for certain, of course. It's just interesting to think about. So, I've gone into a lot of detail about Slayer and Thera's friendship, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. But beyond that, why does this matter? And why is it that so much of Thera's character just revolves around her relationship to Slayer? I went to all this detail to talk about how Doom the Dark Ages uses the damsel in distress trope, but does it in an interesting new way. Commander Thera is a damsel in distress, but one of friendship rather than romance. Slayer's friendship with Thera gives him and the player a personal stake in this whole ordeal. Heart of Argent this, Soul of a Wraith that, blah blah blah. Who cares? That's our girl. That's our best friend. We have to go save our bestie. Typically, in the damsel in distress trope, the girl is seen as a prize, specifically in a romantic context. Doom the Dark Ages subverts this trope. Yes, Commander Thera is a damsel in distress, and yes, she is seen as kind of a prize, but it's not in a romantic context. That would have been so lame. That said, was this just a flawless execution of trope subversion that restores to Thera her humanity that typical damsels in distress do not receive? Well, no. It's not perfect. Yes, this is a subversion, but that doesn't stop it from being the damsel in distress trope, which inherently turns the damsel into a prize. The reason we spend so much time getting to see Thera and Slayer's friendship is to set her and her friendship up as a prize, which inherently turns her into an object. I'm not against using the damsel in distress trope here. I am a sucker for the friendship was the real treasure all along trope, and I think this game uses that trope too, with the two most important things to Slayer being Thera and Surratt. I just wish there was a little more to Thera. We don't know much about her beyond her relationship to Slayer and to her father. I wish we learned more about her and her story, like, why is she magical? How did she get the Wraith Soul? Who was her mother? Like, the magic stuff I find really interesting. If you've seen my videos, or my one other video, you know that the female power fantasy, at least in my opinion, revolves around magic and otherworldly power. And Thera, I think, leans into that really well. But lean is all she does. Like when we see her fight with her new Wraith power-up, it just feels so lame. Like, compared to what we've been seeing the Witch do, and what we've been seeing Slayer do, I was expecting something with a bit more punch? I don't know. There's so much that could be explored with Thera that to me she just feels, like, half-finished. Maybe part of the reason I feel that way is because Thera's only there for, like, half the game. As I was playing the game, by far the most interesting thing to me was Slayer's relationship with Surratt and Thera. And then she's just gone for half the levels. I'm not gonna lie, I got kinda bored. And motion sick. The cosmic realm is not for the faint of heart. Or stomach. But seriously, Thera is entirely absent from when she's captured to when Novik restores her 8 levels later. That's over a third of the game. Speaking of this moment when Novik restores Thera, I think this is one of my favorite moments in the game. I specifically love that Slayer chooses not to restore Thera, and instead leaves it to Novik. This is an active choice that Slayer makes, and is therefore worth analyzing. Also, this moment is just hilarious. Poor Slayer. After that whole fight, after losing his baby, he's about to get the reward, about to get the girl, and he's done. You do it. He's freaking done. And he goes and grieves Surratt instead. My little literary analysis brain is going wild with all of the things this choice he makes could mean. Firstly, his choice to grieve Surratt rather than restore Thera is a trend in his life. Rather than look ahead to the future and what he does have, Slayer stays back and grieves the past and the life he lost. He'll always fight for who's left, but for himself emotionally, he holds himself back to focus on what he's lost rather than moving forward and trying to make friends and new connections, with Thera for example. Another way you could look at this scene is how Slayer chooses to distance himself from the people he cares about out of grief and fear. He nearly lost Thera, and he just lost Surratt, and he doesn't want to go through that pain again. So rather than drawing closer to Thera, he distances himself to try and stop or diminish this pain. Again, Slayer does this a lot. He does it at the end of the game too. Choosing to stay in hell rather than with the Sentinels is a way of distancing himself from community and friendship. And it's why I find the end of the game tragic and sad, rather than epic and hyped like the music implies. We know what happens. The worst in his life is yet to come, yet instead of enjoying the community he has and healing from all the intense trauma he's been through, he chooses to stay in hell, literally and metaphorically. Like I said, I could write a whole essay about him. In a totally normal, non-relatable way, of course. Like, I totally don't relate to his grief in any way, shape, or form. That's crazy. Another reason I love this scene, and beware that I am almost definitely reading too deeply with this take, But this moment feels like Slayer is rejecting the damsel in distress trope. Like, entirely. He's put in the work, the blood. Heck, he died to rescue Thera. Now here he is, about to get the prize, and he walks away. Gives the heart to Novik. You do it. I'm done. He is denying himself the narrative satisfaction of restoring Thera. He rejects the prize. He doesn't think of Thera as a prize, and his rejection here is like a show of respect. He does not take the prize. He lets her father restore her. He refuses to let the trope objectify her. And I do think that this moment is another way that the game subverts the damsel in distress trope. Slayer doesn't get the girl. I've seen some debate on whether or not Thera should have been King Novik's daughter. For my part, I don't really mind that she is, but I understand why some don't like it, and I agree with all their points. I do love a good warrior princess in media. However, making the only female commander that we see the daughter of the king kind of lessens the power of having a woman in that lead role. It implies that not all women can make commander, only a woman of royal blood may. There are other women present and at work that we see, so women are certainly allowed in this context. We even see a few extra soldiers who are women. The game is just rather unclear about women's role in this society, which isn't a bad thing. We don't really need to know that to play the game and understand the story. I just want to point out that making Thera the daughter of the king makes it so that we can't draw conclusions from her about women in this society. This also relates to what I was talking about before, with Thera calling herself commander over princess. People will take a commander Thera more seriously than a princess Thera. Making Thera a commoner would remove the princess versus commander debacle, but it would take away a lot of the emotional pull of Novik's care for Thera. That's his daughter, of course he's worried about her and will stop at nothing to get her back. The Sentinels don't know she's the heart of Argent. Once Azric has captured her, they would have no idea why, and maybe wouldn't have sacrificed so much to get her back. On the other hand, it could have led to an interesting dynamic for Slayer. Thera is his friend. If she'd been taken, I'm convinced he would stop at nothing to get her back, which could lead to interesting interactions where he goes against the Sentinel's wishes. And that pretty much concludes everything I wanted to say about Commander Thera. Hopefully id Software keeps our first supporting lady in mind as they make more Doom content. Because as I pointed out earlier, there is a wide gap between where we left off in the Dark Ages and what we know happens before 2016, i.e. a lot of death and betrayal. I think it'd be cool if id really leaned into Thera's relationship with the Wraith that she's host for. They could explain her absence from the story by saying she was in the cosmic realm all that time, learning about herself and the Wraith. I think making the Wraith a character rather than a creature could really add a lot to Thera's story. But who knows what they'll do with her. She's great, but there's room for improvement, and I hope they take her story in an interesting direction and don't just entirely forget she exists, like they've done with characters before who shall remain nameless. So, thank you for watching. I appreciate you sticking around to listen to me yap about video games. And if you want more story-focused Doom content, I do have a hefty amount of fanfiction posted, so if you're curious about that, I'll put a link in the description for you. Thanks for watching, I'll see you all later.